Hi guys, my name is Adeja Adebowale and it's New Sisters to Sports, airing of course on the Band Radio Scope and on YouTube and of course on Amazon Talk Queen's Talk TV. I have with me today. I have Olawale with me, and we'll be moving through the sporting journey together. Olawale, Olawale.
Yeah, good day, sporting fans around the world. What an eventful weekend of football, or let me say, what a way to cap up the weekend. City and Chelsea gave us one of those few games that you probably see once in every 5 6 years, where defense defense doesn't matter. It's just attack. We digest the whole of football and the other sport everything that happens this weekend. Welcome to the show, and let's get it rolling.
Let's get rolling. Let's get it jigging. But of course, we'll be starting with a little bit of actions from review of the Champions League. I know this is something that most Manchester United fans will not want to relieve, as a matter of fact. But we'll start from the Thursday games. Atletico Madrid versus Celtic. Celtic were whitewashed 6-0. Lazio surprisingly defeated Feyenoord 1-0. Right now is Lazio on 7 points with Feyenoord on 6 points. And of course, Dortmund defeated Newcastle. Newcastle had eventful week before they went for the Champions League with that game against Arsenal and all and whatnot. Olali, let's start from the game between Dortmund and Newcastle. Dortmund have not been particularly um, great in the Bundesliga. They lost again this weekend, as a matter of fact. But they came out all gun blazing against Newcastle and defeated them 2-0. With Niklas Frülok and of course Julian Brandt that has been monitored by Manchester United, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Your thought on on that particular scoreline at the end of the game?
Well, I think Dortmund just had they they probably they did what was expected of them going into the game prior to the two-legged affairs against Newcastle. They lost one, they drew one.
Yeah.
Again, that was at home against Milan. At that point, you probably look at them and say, okay, Dortmund probably working on a tightrope, and you might probably don't see them getting into the latter stage of competition, but they've done themselves pretty good by winning both legs, and coupled with the fact that PSG is finding it difficult to win away from home, and it has threw everything open in that group now. It's so wide open that all the four teams still probably have a reasonable
And that's a
amount of
challenge.
chance
Yeah.
to qualify. And I
To
think
qualify.
probably Dortmund has put themselves in a very good position. If you look at it, going by what we've seen of PSG, they should fancy their chance against Milan, against PSG at home,
Uh huh.
and whatever they can get against Milan away from home, we probably go along with
Be the
it. And
turning
it's,
point
it's everything's still wide open in that group.
in
I
that
think
group.
good one for Dortmund, but for Newcastle, probably they are probably seeing the effect of playing 3 times a week, where
Yeah, for the first time
you
in a
have
very
to
long time.
struggle
Yeah.
for consistency in trying bringing same performance day to day out. You could see probably that effect, the effect of that on their weekend game against Bournemouth, where they
Bournemouth.
surprisingly lost
Yeah.
2-0.
Yeah. Actually.
So I think they are saying this is where squad depth comes to play. The
Mm-hmm.
ability to and the ability to mix it up in terms of rotating players.
Rotating your squad
Yeah.
effectively.
So
Yeah.
Dortmund, good result for them, and it has put them in a very good position to
Good
qualify for the
position.
next round.
All right, perfect. But of course, whatever it is that you see in this group is a back-to-back it. So the game between AC Milan versus PSG, AC Milan surprisingly won 2-1 on the night, and right now as it stands in the group, it's 7 points for Dortmund, six for PSG, five for AC Milan, and four for Newcastle. I know most bookmakers, I know a lot of punters will have lost money on this one. Uh, we tell you all the time, we're sport analysts, but don't gamble. please don't, because you don't know how this thing will end, and it never ends well. Uh, that's a great one for AC Milan, putting themselves in a very good position. Rafaela was basically unstoppable that day, and the
Yeah,
Rod simply can't stop scoring right now. Your quick thought about that one?
fantastic win for Milan, considering the fact that they went behind so early in the game to PSG. They were very composed. Luckily enough, I think they got the equalizer as
Yeah.
early as possible,
Uh huh.
and that gave them the much needed confidence for the
Going
entire.
to the
Like you rightly said, Rafaela
yeah.
was probably played one of the best game yeah, in the UEFA Champions League for that particular week. It was everywhere. It was instrumental to.
Uh huh.
I think it got one of the goals.
Yeah, it's called. Yeah, it's called the second goal at the 50th
Yeah,
minute.
so it was instrumental. And the same thing with Olivier Giroud. Good win for them. They probably they just have to win their home game against, because without a win in this game, they'll probably there's probably they probably stand no chance of what do you get of getting to the next round. I think uh for them still to qualify, I think they'll probably need at least 4 points from their last two games, away to Newcastle and home to Dortmund, which are still very tricky, I feel. But again, the win has probably put them in a very good position too. At least their destiny as it stands is still in their hands.
Yeah, yeah. The destiny, of course, is in their hands right now. What goes down in that group is a group to look out for. And of course, Manchester City defeated Young Boys with Elinana scoring a brace. RB Leipzig defeated Zivenda 2-1 as well, away from home. Barcelona surprisingly lost away to Shakhtar Donetsk. And there was this particular like a joke on Twitter where people were saying, "Oh, Xavi is mad that they played the game. They played the game in Germany." And I was like, "Yo, why we playing in Germany?" They have the PDST from Bayern Munich, but they still lead right now. No, same number of points with Porto. Shakhtar are on third position with 6 points, so it's not a straightforward one in this group right now, especially with the next game. I believe it's going to come between Barcelona and FC Porto, if I'm not mistaken. That could change the tide of waves in that particular group. And of course, um, Bayern Munich manage, and don't be deceived by the scoreline. Anyways, I think Bayern play better than Galatasaray, but they play against Galatasaray 2-1. Manchester United were cruising. Rashmore Holland scoring 2 goals before that red card for what's his name again with Marcus Rashford,
Marcus
which
Rashford.
changed. Yeah, we changed the tide of the game. The in-game management. How would you rate the in-game management of Eric Ten Hag in this particular one, especially after Manchester United went up 3-2? That could actually be okay. Let's just manage this game. It looks like we're doing good right now. Let's just manage it for the last couple of minutes and see if we could win this one.
Okay, so uh, let let me just probably okay, yeah. Let me just focus on that game. I'll probably have to touch the Barcelona game later on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I think the in-game management thing in that game was not even at 3-2. I think it was at 2-0. Uh yes, I understand the fact that United probably played 70 something minutes, or was it probably 60 something minutes with a man down. Of
Yeah.
course, I acknowledge that. I know it's easier to play with a man down probably for the last 30 minutes or 25 minutes than to play like for 60 something minutes. But again,
Hmm.
I think it was criminal, even though sometimes it happens for United to have considered those two goals. I think at that point in time, I was expecting more of at least that first half, keep it at 2-0 to the end of the first half. If they were able to survive that, for the fact that the game got to 2-2, was
Yeah.
for me, that was the point they lost the game. Yeah, they now got a 3-2 lead again, and for them to have probably was able to withstand the pressure for what do you call it? For more than 20 minutes in the second half,
Yeah.
they took the lead, and the last 10 minutes they have to like collapse. I think in as much as Eric Ten Hag has his own faults in terms
Uh huh.
of what you in-game management, but I think this speaks volumes of
The mentality of the
how
players
mental, how fragile these United players are in terms of you just have this tendency of
collapsing.
giving up. Like wow, like we've just lost it. Yeah, like I said, I acknowledge the fact that probably if Rashford was not recorded,
Of
probably United
course,
would have won the game.
won
But
easily.
again, there are there are times where you just dig in. There are times you just feel like we are better than you, whichever way. There are times, sometimes I just feel some certain things goes beyond coaching. Sometimes it just
Yeah,
tells you a lot about the character,
the character of
the
the
character
players
of the players, and I think
and the dressing room.
for as much as I have to give Ten Hag a bit of stick about game management, I think, and for me, the bigger picture from this game is how mental fragile, and we've seen it a lot. It's, especially there are games whereby you see them starting very well for like 20 minutes, and after just one setback, just that inability to recover from that setback is always a big thing, and you just see them like they just capitulated from there. We've
Yeah,
seen uh, Liverpool this season against Newcastle. Of course,
against Spurs.
Newcastle missed a lot of chances,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
they dig in, they make sure they were in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Last 15-20 minutes away from home, they got 2 goals and won the
Two
game,
goals and won the
despite
game. Yeah.
playing for like 60-70 minutes. Against Spurs,
Spurs. Yeah.
they held their own, even with 2 red cards to like,
Yeah. To the
what do
like
you call it?
9 seconds
Almost
of the
90.
9 seconds
Do you
of the game.
understand?
Yeah.
So from, and we've seen United like against Brighton, against Bayern, they had probably a decent first 20 minutes, but
20 minutes.
immediately they had that one adversity, you just feel like a group of players who just feel like, okay, I
Okay,
think
it's done.
they
Let's
just
let,
give up,
let's
like
wait for the weekend. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And
I
that is
feel
my
you.
own biggest
I
takeaway
feel
from
you.
the game.
I feel you. I feel you. And of course, in Group B, Arsenal defeated Sevilla as expected. PSV defeated Lens. As it currently stands right now, Arsenal on 9 points, PSV on five, Lens on five as well, and Sevilla might not be going to be to the Europa League. Bayern on 12 points, they've qualified for the next round. Of course, FC Copenhagen on 4 points, Galatasaray on 4 points, and Manchester United on 3 points. In Group C, Napoli played a 1-1 draw against Union Berlin. Real Madrid defeated Braga 3-0. Real Sociedad defeated Benfica 3-1 in Group D. And Inter Milan defeated Salzburg away from home 1-0. You wanted to say touch base on the game for
Yeah,
Barcelona before we move to the Premier League.
you know, two things. The Celtic, let me talk from my FCL point of view.
Okay.
Well, I was trying to use my limitless, and
Okay.
I went to Twitter and I saw a lot of people looking towards Antoine Griezmann. And you know what? I feel like
Yeah.
yes, it's an home game. Celtic are bad travelers.
Yeah.
So, and common sense should just have prevail and tell me that just go with
G-
Griezmann.
Griezmann.
I did overthinking. Uh, Alan was a bit out. I went for Alvarez, and that Barcelona game,
Yeah.
I decided to go for Lewandowski, considering the fact that the game was played in Germany on a neutral
Exactly.
ground.
Yeah.
That's, oh, this shouldn't be like a typical
A typical, yeah.
what do you call it, away game for, what
Away
do you
game
call it, for
for
Barcelona. But
Barca.
unfortunately for them, I think we probably might not be focusing on this enough. I think a lot of focus will be on what do you call it, on Xavi. I think I've seen a lot of die hard, what do you call it,
Barcelona
Barcelona
fans.
fans who have been not being too convinced about
Still
him.
convinced.
Especially
Yeah.
when they gave him a contract to New York, they felt it should
It was
have
too early.
they should have waited to the end of the season, that it should have ended based on whatever happens this season. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't feel. I think if you look at it, there seems to be a little bit of inconsistency, probably in this in selection. I think at this stage he needs probably to stick with a regular starting level for now, and get a bit of consistency from them
but
before trying to mix
yeah,
things up.
yeah,
I think there is a
but
little
the
bit of
truth is,
attention on him
yeah,
now.
but the truth is, a lot. If you look at it critically, and for from people that watch Barcelona a lot, this is a crack that we've seen since last season. Like, I know it's an expression. Even this season, they've won so many games towards the tail end with a dubious penalty, a red card, or whatnot. We've seen that, and we saw that a lot last season, where Ter Stegen will be the man of the match, and it's a problem when out of 38 games, your man of the match is your goalkeeper in five,
Yeah,
6, or 10 games. Is a problem, especially for a Barcelona team. And something else that I noticed about Barcelona, and I don't know if you agree with me, is we don't see that style of play that we know Barcelona for. Like, it's just a mixture of whatnot, everything together. That tiki
exactly.
taka domination, total domination, total cerebral football is not there. That is the
I,
truth,
I,
you
I
know.
I think that was a little. I don't know whether the injury to Pedri has been one of, but I think at the beginning of last season,
Yeah.
when Lewandowski just recently joined, I think
Uh-huh.
you could see a bit of identity. It might not be the complete
Yeah.
possession-based football, but at
Yeah.
least you
Yeah.
still see a
At
little bit
least,
of
yeah.
possession-based
As long
mixed with
as
a
it's
bit
close
of
to what,
directness.
yeah, as long as it is close to what Luis Enrique
You
is doing for
understand?
them. Yeah.
But I just think I don't know whether it was Xavi probably reacting to some terrible loss and becoming a little bit too results focused and a
Focus.
little
Yeah.
bit more defensive, or let me say pragmatic. And I just think the lack of consistency in terms of selection of the starting 11
Uh-huh.
has not really helped for me. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
uh, it has not helped the team. And I won't say pet because if you have a Kygodigan, I think it's a kind of a pet. I probably need to acknowledge the fact that a player like Frankie De Jong has been out for a couple of games
A couple of
now.
games. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. 100%.
again, but again, I
It's
just feel
Barcelona.
like
It's Barcelona.
yes, I just feel like there seems to be a little bit of consistency in terms of decision making on Xavi as a coach,
Yeah.
and lack of consistency in terms of overall selection and what
Selection
do you call
and
it,
the team play itself.
team player itself, which I think let's see how this. It's just that this is the best thing that probably happened this season, or probably to not happen, will be for Girona to win the league because I just feel like Real Madrid on their own side to looks like a team that is probably more built for cup competition
Competition than the
than more
league.
than the
Yeah.
league
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I
they
wouldn't
look like
expect.
it.
I
They
wouldn't
look like a
expect
team that
Madrid
can
to
go
win
like 2 or 3 that can draw 3 games
3 games in a row.
there in a row
Yeah.
due to
Yeah.
lack of
And and and
play
and, and
attacking options.
yeah. And talking about that, I don't know if you saw their game against Brayo Vallecano. And I'm an apostle, or should I say, prophet for Huselu. Like, okay, don't overthink this thing. Instead of the typical Rodrigo and Vinicius Junior playing up front as a dual striker, just play those guys where they are most comfortable and play Huselu through the middle. And they play against Real Vallecano. They outplayed Real Vallecano. They had lot of chances. They missed most of those chances, and the game ended 0-0. I'm not trying to broadcast your point on that one. Anyways, we'll get to that, but let's start with the first game on Saturday. Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Tottenham Hotspur. In the WhatsApp group, I'm like, see Wolves, they need to teach them how to actually score. It was a total domination of Spurs, and don't forget, Spurs are missing out on a whole list of players in their team. They were missing out on a good number of their players. The new Dutch guy was out. Madison was out. So it was not the typical. Okay, so they have Manos Solomon out. They have okay, good, Ivan Perisic has been out for so long. Destiny Odoji was out because of the red card. Christian Romero was out as well. Richard Allison, Mickey Van der Vaart, and just Manderson were out for this particular game. But that being said, it was a total domination by Wolves against Spurs. Spurs looked like they don't have idea. They were the one that scored the first goal, as a matter of fact. After 3 minutes, Bremer Johnson, the guy they bought from Nottingham Forest, gave them the first goal, and they held their own until the 91st minute when Sarabia scored his second Premier League goal, and Lemina scored almost at the last kick of the game. Are we seeing another Spurs unfolding right now, or this is typical because of the injuries? There are so many things that need to be augmented. There are a lot of things that need to be tweaked. I'm pretty sure Bremer Johnson would not have started if all the regular guys were around. If Richarlison was around, Mano Solomon was not injured, and it won't be a makeshift back four as well. What do you think of this?
Okay, so I think what we probably seen of Spurs so far this season or is a very good starting 11 and probably one or two good, what do you call it, players coming off
Substitute.
the bench. And when you have like 3, 4 players, Perisic could have been a very good, what do you call it, player for them to use at to make use at this point in time. He's not available. Madison
Yeah.
not available. You miss one defender. Or what's the name of what's the name of the guy?
Van
That
Beeke.
the Dutch guy.
Yeah.
Then Destiny Doji is suspended via suspension. Romero to suspension.
Uh huh.
I think it was just probably a little bit too much to ask. But again, for them to now have kudos to them to have probably able to hold their own. They got a lead up until
The
the 90
94th
something
minute.
minute, which
Yeah.
in fact I probably counted that as a victory for them. And another thing was possession wise, even though it didn't really result to meaningful chances, possession wise, they had a better possession. But again, you could argue that probably Wolves had the better they created the better chances throughout the whole of 90 minutes
Again.
of the game.
Yeah.
I think we will probably have to see what happened after the international break. But I think the number of injuries might just be a little bit too much
Overwhelming for
for the
them.
team
Yeah.
in time of with the not with. But luckily for them, I think they only have the league and
To
probably the
face
FA. They're out of the
the
Carabao
Carabao
Cup.
Cup.
They don't have
Yeah.
any European commitment, so they should probably be able to. I think the what do you call it? The international break probably came about
Cannot
the
cannot
same
come
time.
cannot come sooner
Yeah,
for
and
them.
considering the fact how brutally it was for them to have lost against what do you call it? Against Chelsea on Monday, two red
Yeah.
cards,
Yeah.
and I think they just have to. I think they have to see what they could do because in terms of figuring out what's their best starting 11
Start
going
11.
forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think those two losses are just two terrible losses. One
Yeah.
on the back of two red cards, the other one
Yeah.
you were probably on top of the game, at least in terms of the score
In
line, if
terms of
not for any
scoreline.
other team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up until
100%.
91 minutes and to have lost in such manner, I think they just need that international break to get things. I think we
Sorted
probably
out
have
for
to see
themselves.
where they go from this point after international break, what they could do in probably in the next 3 games. Let's see
Next
them
three games.
first and before we make any judgments.
Judgment. All right. Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And of course, Arsenal defeated Burnley as expected. It wasn't a joy to watch, and I'm tired of talking about Kai Havertz, but I can't stop talking about him. It was pedestrian as usual. It's about time Mateta figured this out, and in his post-match conference, he was still backing him. But even Ateta removed Caraba from the game. I think at the 68th minute, just to show you he's not beaming of confidence, especially after Burnley equalized before Arsenal through William Saliba, and that wonder goal from Zini gave them that 3-1 victory over Burnley. I just want to ask you a question, sister, on Arsenal. How impressed have you been with Arsenal so far this season? Personally, I feel Arsenal has been dropped. They've been dropped. Sorry. For me personally, I feel the result is not a true reflection of that game. they have a couple of injuries as well. Guys like Thomas Partey, Gabriel Jesus, and the rest of them are not available, so it's understandable. But of course, I've not been so impressed with Arsenal so far. What's your own impression of them? Because right now we need someone that would challenge Manchester City, and it looks like the only guy that can challenge Manchester City right now is either Arsenal or Liverpool.
I think nobody will be able to challenge City as it stands. Unfortunately, I think both
So
squad
it's a
just seems to
farmer's
have
league now.
a bit of all. I like you said. I think I'm probably not too impressed with Arsenal, especially in terms of their attack creation. I think the Havertz thing in terms of in the mix in terms of the midfield is probably an unnecessary. It's just an unnecessary headache that, or what do you call it? Mikel Arteta
To have avoided.
created for himself. And Arsenal fans have said some other players in that team is they are not up to Arsenal standard. They should be in Everton. So I don't know why that. So I just think in terms of defense,
Yeah.
I think they have been pretty solid defensively, even
Uh huh.
though their newest addition, unfortunately, they've not been able to even play him, which is what's the name of this Ajax, this boy from that came from Ajax,
Timber.
this boy,
You rate him.
yeah,
You
Timber,
Timber.
Timber. I think they've been pretty solid defensively, but I think the goalkeeper. I don't think they've gotten better from the what do you call it?
Goalkeeping point of view.
From the goalkeeper point of view. I don't think Raya commands as in uh
Is
too
not.
much
Yeah. Is not confident. Yeah.
confident enough. Like unfortunately, that what happened against Newcastle, yes, I think because of the manner at which that Newcastle game,
What?
Newcastle goal came,
Yeah.
nobody was actually focusing on how bad or
Raya
the
was
terrible
with the cross
decision on
itself.
the part of what do you call it, Raya. Because
Raya.
if Raya has actually done what he was supposed to do
We will not have
initially,
the
there was no way
conversation.
we wouldn't even have. There was no way that ball would have gotten to Jolinton.
Yeah.
Not stock of him now having to uh, rest or push. What do you call it, Gabriel
Gabriel.
from the back. So I think from the goalkeeper point of view, I just don't think they've gotten better. I don't think it's better than Ramsdale so far from what I've seen of him.
Yeah. Of
And
course.
I think the midfield, I just think Kai Havertz creates. The problem with Kai Havertz is you might not say he has played badly in a game, but you can hardly see what is input in a game. It's just like a
It does not
pedestrian.
impact the game. It's just a pedestrian. Like just make
Yes,
up the
like
numbers.
someone is
It's someone
just
that
there
just
to
making up the
make
numbers.
up the numbers, which is a very big problem. Which means he has not really added a lot to their flow attacking wise, and
Uh
that
huh.
it's one of the reasons why we've not seen much of live in Martinelli down that left side,
Yeah.
as we've not
Exactly.
seen much combination with because if you look at it, Odegaard most time operates more through
Operate
the middle
on the right
of
side.
much to the right side with Saka.
Yeah. Why
So
Xhaka? Why Granit Xhaka operates closer to Martinelli?
do you get it? So, but we've not really seen that replicate of that this season, and I just don't know. I think he still needs to figure. We know coaches have this tendency of trying to back their new signing
Their
at least for the
signings.
first year.
6 months
It's
or
hard
yeah.
for them just to accept the fact that probably is. But again, I just don't know why they, because there are some pretty things that I'm not a coach. Probably I'm not a tactician, but from the little things I've watched football to an extent that I can tell you some certain things that Mason Mount was not going to work at United. It's something that is very easy to predict. It doesn't require, let me say, a complex football knowledge. You don't have to know football at the level of
Yeah.
a Pep Guardiola for you to just know that this thing will not work. The same thing with Kai Havertz. I think I've said this on a couple of occasions when he was at Chelsea that it doesn't have a wing on the football pitch.
Yeah.
The best place you can play in is probably to play him as a striker, which probably is still not.
The
So
best. Yeah.
it's a tactical nightmare, and that's the way I call it. It's a tactical nightmare. I think
For any
we've
coach.
seen, because attacking wise, Arsenal probably have scored 2-3 in some games,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I've just think the attack has not really
Yeah,
they've
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
they've
And
not gotten they've not gotten to their
that
best. They
fluidity,
could
yeah,
do more than
exactly.
what we've seen of them.
Yeah,
And I think, in as much as I don't want to label Kai Havertz as the reason why they've not done that, I think
it's
it's
one of the
giving
reasons.
is
Yeah,
one of the reasons. Might not be the only
Primary
reason,
reason.
but I think it's
yeah.
one of
It's
the
it's
reasons.
Olale, what I would liken it to before I come to catch what I would liken it to before I even say anything is if you want to play like a Kanu Wako. Kanu, we all know, plays with his brain more than his feet. He's probably the most cerebral footballer that is wingless. Kanu is wingless. Kanu is not a striker. He's not a striker that will guarantee you so many goals. He's not a
The
number 10.
number eight.
He's
Number
more
eight.
like a number 8, can play off a striker, can play as a striker. But if you want to be a Kanu Wako, you need that
You have
brain.
to be very intelligent.
Very, very intelligent. And Kai does not give you that. He cannot pass, he
I
cannot
think I
dribble,
agree with you,
he cannot dribble,
because
he cannot
I
cross.
think one day I was actually thinking of, okay, if we have Kanu in today's football when everybody plays 4-3-3, where does it fit
Mhm.
in
Where
modern
will
day
it fit?
football?
Exactly. It's going to be different for Kanu, but if you want to play like Kanu, you need that brain. Kanu can make magic. Kanu would.
Probably Kanu can comfortably play upward, as in attack, where if you have two wingers who could do a lot of, because he could hold on to the ball. His hold on play is very
Exactly.
good. He's cerebral.
Yeah.
He could
You
probably
know.
he could do that role of Firmino probably in a different way because he
Exactly.
has the
You
brain.
know. Yeah. But this guy is basically giving Arsenal nothing, and someone else that is causing Arsenal problem right now because he's on big wages. I don't know exactly. For me, it's probably the best midfielder in England, bar maybe Rodri, bar maybe. And that's Thomas Partey. Without Partey, that Arsenal team does not look to be going anywhere. You know, Rice has justified that £100 million. No doubt about it. Forget his English or whatnot. He has justified, but that ticking, Arsenal needs to tick, and Partey gives it that ticking. Jorginho, I don't know. Some people like Jorginho, but it's just a push. Anyways, Kachi,
No,
welcome.
please, before you go on that, before you go to Kachi,
Yeah.
I think on Sport Freak WhatsApp, when I made mention of because I was a bit mad on that particular day when I made mention of what's the name of this boy, Emmy
I
Smith
don't know.
Rowe.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay, okay.
What I'm
So that was
expecting
that was
of
on the New Starter community group. Yeah. Go ahead.
yes, what I was expecting of Ateta at this point is this: in that Thomas Partey role, Declan Rice could play that role.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is what
Yeah.
he does for, what do you call it,
For West Ham.
for West Ham. Or you could probably turn it to a double pivot where you have two guys just sitting in front of the distant defense for,
The back
and
four.
instead of a 4-3-3 where you have two number eight, just play a guy to play as a number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Play Rice, and you can play Rice and Jorginho as its two sitting midfielders, not Jorginho anchoring that midfield
Oh my
and
God,
trying
that's
to
that's the
push.
only that's the only reason why Arsenal lost against Tottenham Hotspur. It was not a loss, but the draw felt like a loss because Jorginho practically was not ticking with his head, you know, and it's a simple solution. I don't know why the
So
coaches
that's
like
why
to play.
instead of him single-handedly anchoring that role, just play
Uh
a
huh.
double by pivot. And
Exactly.
for the fact that you don't have what do you call it,
Thomas Partey.
Odegaard around,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
could play either and you have somebody, a player like, what do you call it, Leandro Trossard, who is very, what do you call it,
Versatile.
very versatile.
Versatile.
He could play as a second striker, and
Uh
because
huh.
you might not probably need a 10, since you have a two body midfielder, he could play as that second striker who could do the role of a striker at the same time a role of a number 10 together. Or you
Mm-hmm.
can play
Mm-hmm.
Smith Rowe there to play as a 10. I think he has enough within his bags to try just a little bit, not too many changes.
Yeah.
If some players are not around, there is a way you could. Don't play Jorginho as an anchor alone.
It's it's
Play double
it's it's,
pivot
it's, it's
and play a
ridiculous.
10. or just
It's
play.
ridiculous.
City is practically playing without a 10 now. They are
Yeah,
Alvarez is playing as a second striker and
but
doing a little bit
really,
job of a 10.
but really,
Why is having as a
but
second
really,
striker for
anyways,
Man City?
we'll get to the City on, but City has been impressive. I don't imagine how City are still on top of their power without KDB for this long. If you ask me. Anyways, Everton won against Crystal Palace. I don't know why I don't like Everton, and they've never done anything wrong to me. Kachi, Manchester United have won 4 of their last 5 Premier League games against. Why are you laughing? Come
No,
on.
I mean, I'm agreeing to you. I'm
Oh,
agreeing with
okay.
what you just
Oh,
said.
okay. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. 5 Premier League games, but they've lost 3 of their last 5 in all competition.
Mhm.
That we're talking about Manchester United. Um, there's no direction at United in terms of overall play, but they are getting the points at least, even if it's 1-0. Um, Diego Dallo is the one scoring or whatnot, but at least they are leaping their faith right now. Olali, I'm going to come to you. It seems like she just had to leave for a couple of minutes there. Um, how do we? Okay, Kachi's back. Thank you. How do you overall look at United in terms of overall play? The play has been bad, but sometimes you just need to just push it. Nobody. I, I was surprised that United are 6 in the Premier League.
Mhm.
If you ask me, I was surprised because last time I checked them, I think they were on 10th or 11th position. But then they are 6 points. They are sixth in the league. They are just 5 or 6 points off the top four. And I'm like, oh, maybe they are not as bad as we think, but of course, it's worrisome overall. What's
Uh,
your own opinion?
they are as bad as we think. And the only reason why I say they're as bad as we think is because of the caliber of club that Manchester United is. A club like Manchester United should be competing for the biggest trophies every season. With the amount of investments they put in, with all the hype that comes with the players they buy, whether they make sense or not, whether they fit or not,
Okay, that's
it's
that's another discussion.
it's a reputational. I guess why I say they're as bad as you think is because of the reputation of the club.
Yeah.
This is Manchester United we're talking about.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, the reality on ground is that Manchester United, I believe, is on their eighth. I believe it's six or eight
Yeah.
managers since Sir Alex hung up everything in 2013.
Yeah.
If it's even 2013, but I guess for me,
Uh huh.
because of all the off-field drama we are seeing, and
Uh huh.
it's unfortunate that I happened to watch that documentary, or at least a snippet of that documentary, a few days before this show, where,
Okay.
as Mourinho said, if you are not able to coach the big boys, or
Uh
if you
huh.
are trying to coach the big boys the way you coach academy boys,
Yeah.
then you are bound to have trouble. So they are playing bad because the coach thinks this is Ajax. The
Yeah.
coach thinks
Okay.
he's dealing with a couple of underachieving or desperate young boys who really want to make it to the big leagues and will listen to a
Well,
supposedly accomplished coach who
coach.
knows
Yeah.
what he's doing.
It's doing. Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is Manchester United. Every single person there. I mean, I can't think of an academy player playing for United under ETH. I can't. I'm sorry, I've not watched a lot of United games. That's how bad they've sucked. But I don't think they even have anybody coming through the ranks from Carrington anymore, like we used to see in the past.
They still have
Now,
Ganacho. They have Ganacho.
so we're talking of one thing, we're calling another thing. Anyway, just to summarize, the
Yeah. Yeah.
reputation of United demands that they play better. The hype that came with ETH demands that they play better. The caliber of players we have seen excel in other climates,
Yeah.
Mason Mount, Casimiro,
Yeah.
Varane,
Anthony.
demands that they play better.
You not mention Anthony. Anthony.
I'm going to leave that for Olawale. but the bottom line is, yes, they are getting the results. But unlike Max Allegri, who seemed to have quietened the ultras in
Oh my
Juventus
god.
with
Oh my god.
positive play and results, United is getting the results without the play backing it up. So yes, they deserve, no, or we deserve to see better from United than we are currently seeing now.
Olali, I'm gonna come to you. This is Luton City on a normal day. I for my FP, I'm like, okay, this is the time to start Rasmus. Rasmus, yeah,
Oh, you
Holland.
don't do that.
Cause I'm like, okay, it's Luton for crying out loud. Although they played 1-1 against Liverpool, Liverpool should have killed them, you know, because of Danny Nunes and all. Like, okay, Rasmus should be able to win, and this is Old Trafford, like 4-5 nil in this game, you know. And you start the game, and at the end of it, it was a Lindelof goal that helped Man U secure the one-win victory. The same that we had against Sheffield United. I think against Sheffield was 2-1 or so. Against Burnley it was 1-0. So they really have very low key fixtures against the small guns, and it was just like 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, and it's still a struggle, you know. But at the same time, on the flip side, we saw that with Chelsea as well. Chelsea was doing they were losing against the small boys, and when we thought they were going to go under the water, when they had Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur, Brighton, Manchester City, and we are seeing a better Chelsea right now, right? So it's not straightforward. It's not straight jacket. It's not straight mathematics. Olali, are you really concerned with the manners at which United have been getting their victory, or should we be concerned? It's just one of those things. Get the results, and the play will come back. We'll shaping up at the end of the day.
Okay, so I think the United thing, in as much as I don't want to overflog it, I think
Yeah.
if you look at the table today, the
Uh
table
huh.
tells you United are
The
not far
different.
off from the top one, and which is reality because as at today, I think City are
They are,
leading
yeah, they are
with
5 points
what do you
away
call it,
from.
with
They're just
28
seven.
points,
Yeah, they're just
and
seven
United
points
are
away
six,
from
7 points away from the top,
City.
and probably
Yeah.
6 points away from
Five
Liverpool
points,
and what do you call
and
it,
Arsenal. And Arsenal.
Liverpool and Arsenal. But that is not it. You have to look at who have you beaten and who have you lost to. United have lost to they've lost away to Spurs, Arsenal. They lost at home to
Brighton.
Brighton,
Yeah.
City, and what do you call it? And City and Crystal Palace.
Did
So
Bournemouth get a
where the
result
problem
against
lies
them?
is by the time you
Yeah.
start playing, you go to Everton. By the time you play West Ham, by the time you play Aston Villa, by the time you play Liverpool, what you get out
Newcastle.
of those games,
Newcastle.
Newcastle, those are 5 games, which means we play 12 games now. If you add those 5 games to 12, that is 17. So which means out of your remaining 7 games for the first half of the season, you have 5 games that, based on your performance, you might probably end up having 2 points from a potential 15.
Drop points.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like probably 2 draws and 3 losses. I can't even remember the other 2 teams. And that is where the bigger thing is. And looking at the general play, I just think a lot of things is still wrong at United. I think everything boils down to the identity, not identity on the pitch now. I think it's more of the
Okay.
identity as a club itself. Because
Okay.
I can tell you for a fact now that Messi Mount was not a Eric Ten Hag signing. I don't need anybody to tell me.
Hmm.
It took a year plus for even him to drop Anthony. Like, okay, everything has to go bad. Like,
Go
okay, this
wrong.
guy is so good. Pata, before him say can say, okay, let's try something.
Something
But
else.
if he can just under it, how many this thing just drop. If this
I,
guy is not playing very well,
Ateta is still playing
Alali,
Kayafata.
before you continue, let me just chip in. You said something about Mason Mount. I've said this several times before. You guys really need to start thinking in that light. The signing of Kai Havertz And the signing of Mason Mount was just a save
Yes,
me
the Americans trying to save another
yes,
American.
save
I
me
get it,
from being a
but if
bad
that is
deal.
what is happening, the United are the bigger code, the bigger, what do you call it,
Fool.
fool, because even you are still struggling. So I understand that, but what I'm saying is this: you see, when you hire a coach like Ten Hag's signings have not worked. We have to admit that. At least
Yeah,
Anthony is his biggest signing, and it has not worked. That's the
yeah,
most important thing. Now, when you hire a coach like Ten Hag, either you have a very good sporting director who does a lot of things, who gives him options in terms of, okay, you want this kind of players, you want this player, I have like 3 or 4 alternatives who are like him. You have that. Or you can't, coaches can't be making one signing, the club's making another signing. It doesn't work
yeah. It
like that.
becomes problem. Yeah,
In as much as Casemiro is a top talent, I can tell you today that Casemiro was
a stopgap.
United bought signing, which was more of their own response to inability to get any other player, and majorly a response to that poor start of the season.
Mm,
And when you have things like, if you look at that squad again, there are still players signed by Mourinho in that team. There are still players signed by, what do you call it?
social.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There are still players who like 3 different set of coaches. So Ten Hag has his own fault in what we are seeing now. But I think the
Yeah,
biggest, and that's why for me, I will not support United sacking him now. I just don't think it's going to take
it's the
anybody
right
to
time.
anywhere. The
Yeah.
only thing you successfully do if you sack Ten Hag now is 2 things. The Ronaldo fans will come at you, we told you so. The David De Gea fans will come at you, we told you so. After those 2 things, that's the only thing you achieve by sacking him. I think it needs to do better. They start, because United is the only team in the top 10 of the Premier League that you probably don't know how
Their
they want
style
to
of play.
play. And like Debo, if you could still remember Rasmus, when we were trying to preview or trying to look at what he could
Yeah,
do.
on the
I
website.
remember
Yeah,
Lion came to say no, that I wasn't rating the boy well enough. I said that boy scoring depends on the service he's going to get.
it's going to
If you don't
get.
get service, you will not score. In as much as
Yeah.
a lot were made about United not getting a striker last season, I said the bigger problem is, are they creating enough good chances?
Mm,
So those are the problems you need to look at extreme. So I
and
think result is not
it's
good.
paying off.
Ten Hag has to admit it. He could still be sacked on that, based on that.
Based on the
I
results.
just
Yeah.
hope so because I think I just hope so Radcliffe comes in with the 25% that he's buying, and if they could give him control of the footballing side, as we are hearing, if that will happen, probably we could see a much more of strategic thinking into transfers
Transfers.
rather than just trying to react to. And I think somebody, there was it this guy that was saying it? I was watching one podcast, Foster, that United are more interested in players that, how many followers does he have on Instagram, how many people follows him. And that's why
Well,
you see anytime they have
well,
one
I
bad game, you see players tripping.
don't mind Foster. That's a lie, Jerry. They need
But
a
it could be true.
they need a commercially viable. No,
So
it's but it's part of
no.
the.
See, Debo, I'm not saying you don't need a commercially viable. See, Debo, see, the truth is this:
But at
nobody's
the
saying
same
you don't need
time,
a commercially
yeah,
viable. What
I
I'm
know
saying
what
is this:
I'm not saying.
if you want to sign a
Don't
footballer,
mind Foster.
you should not, you should never sign a footballer based on his Instagram, what do you call it,
Following.
ability. But come to think of
Don't
it,
mind Foster.
how many City players have you seen on Instagram?
But even
Not
United,
Bernardo Silva.
you guys don't have any superstars, commercially viable superstar right now. I don't think so. You
But
don't have
everybody
any
just,
now.
I,
You don't have
can you
any
say
now.
something about Ten Hag trying to coach some senior boys? Now the truth is, let's think about it. United best player probably on paper is going to be Bruno Fernandes and Rashford. Are they
Rashford,
really
yeah.
superstar on their own? Do Fernandes get a starting lineup as a regular starting shirt
City.
in any of the top teams, like even Arsenal, City, probably because of Kai Havertz, you probably starting ahead of Kai Havertz, yeah. But not even at Liverpool. You are not sure. So that's to tell you about the quality of there are lots of players who see themselves, who United has elevated. Imagine a Sancho. United were the only team bidding for Sancho. You sign him for close to 80 million. You give him 300 pounds. On what basis? What was the desperation? Rashford on 300 million at 300,000 pounds is
200,000
blasphemous.
pounds, yeah.
It should never happen in any way. So those are the things. Those guys, you have a set of guys who probably see themselves, who should probably still be listening to coaches, who should be
Yeah.
coachable, but
And they see
thinking they are
themselves
big
as
boys
superstars.
because
Yeah,
the
100%.
club has elevated, has put them in that position.
In that
So you
position.
have a lot of
Anyway, that's the
complex.
problem. That's Olale, sorry. That's why I don't like talking about United. We spend all the time on United. I still want to come back Kachi. Kachi, why? Okay. Anyways, Newcastle. Thank God the loss against Bournemouth. I'm so happy about that. As a
What is
matter of
thank God?
fact.
That's not fine. Why are you thanking God?
Why will you forgive? Why will you
You guys
forgive?
were poor last week.
Why will you
Why now?
forgive? No. It's not about we being poor. Being poor is understandable, but losing in that manner is unacceptable. I beg.
Mm.
Please. Girona keeps on their chasing, or their, should I say, their wild dream right now. Still on top, 2 points ahead of Real Madrid. Real Madrid defeated Valencia 5-1. Rodrigo and Vinicius is not getting the praise each in that match, and Carvajal getting the 5th goal. Bellingham is not around right now because of injury. Real Sociedad with Kobu and the rest of the gang, Zubendi defeated Almeria away from home 3-1. Granada played a 1-1 draw against Getafe. Mosasuna played a 1-1 draw against Las Palmas. And of course, for some strange reason, we went up 2-0 against Leeds away from home. We got that goal by Giroud, and Rogers and Regina gave us the 2-goal lead. And suddenly, let's just go and watch another game. We came back. I saw that the game ended 2-2. Kachi, I know it's not alarm bells, anyways. At least they just came back from a good victory against PSG in the middle of the week, so it should not be an alarm bells. But what should have been done differently, like in terms of concentration for AC Milan on this one?
I think alarm bells should ring because this
Oh,
is the
really?
second consecutive week that Milan has dropped points from being 2-0 up.
Oh, wow.
First against Napoli in the Maradona, and second against
Oh, yeah,
Lecce.
that's true. Yeah.
Because of that, they dropped to third. And if not for results going against Napoli, would have probably even dropped to fourth. Alarm bells should ring because right now they are making Inter Milan run away with the league. I thought, and I'm not sure, I've obviously been away from the program for a few weeks, but my mindset has been, okay, if we are struggling to beat our immediate competition, let us hope that they beat themselves for us and we take care of the little boys. But that seems not to be the case. Milan right now has deviated into the Arsenal of the last few years of Arsene Wenger, where games where they are supposed to handle, they struggle to handle. I had to put that there as a no. But on a more serious note, I think alarm bells should ring because that defensive solidity, I don't know if it's players not taking those games as serious as maybe a Champions League night, or maybe the atmosphere is not inspiring the kind of performances we expect. But it is becoming concerning that an Italian team cannot hold a lead, especially a team that is supposed to represent Italy in the elite tournament. Exactly. You don't. You probably didn't see it, but they could have lost that game because in the last minute, Lecce had a goal ruled out via VAR. So Lecce could have completed the turnaround
Don't
As a
worry.
matter of fact, when I told you that I was going to watch some college football, it really was at that point I saw the goal enter, and I if not
Thought it
that I
was going
just
to
bought that
stand.
TV, I would have broken the TV. Let me put it that way. That is how concerning the performance has been.
Was
There is inconsistency right now. This was a Juventus problem that has transferred to AC Milan
to
right
AC
now.
Milan. Okay.
The results the earlier results are papering over the cracks that we are seeing.
Say it
It
right
is
now.
there is a lack of defensive solidity,
Yeah.
and something has to be done. The international break couldn't have come
Who
at a
calls
better time
sooner?
right now.
All right.
Hopefully, it
Perfect.
helps them
To rejig.
restructure and
Yeah.
get back what they need to be doing
Need to be.
correctly. But
All right.
alarm
Perfect.
bells definitely ringing.
Needs to ring. Okay. Definitely alarm bells needs to ring. According to Kakachi, and of course, Juventus defeated Cagliari 2-1. Monza and Torino played a 1-1 draw. Bayern Munich, Harry Kane cannot stop scoring right now. I think he's already is um Bayern Munich. Bayern, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Bayern defeated FC's Endeavour 4-2. Hurricane with 2 goals again. Stuttgart won against Dortmund 2-1. Kylian Mbappe hat-trick secured the win for PSG against Reims, and of course, Napoli played a 0-0 draw against La Louve. And today, Liverpool defeated Brentford 3-0. Mo Salah scoring 2 goals in that one with that classic the Goyota goal. Brighton and Hove played a 1-1 draw against Sheffield United. Aston Villa, they are on the verge. Lally, I told you this last season, and you said we should wait for them till this season. And I think they've continued from where they stopped last season. 17 games, home games unbeaten. And this is the last time that was equaled. The last time it happened in the history of Aston Villa was in 1983. I think that was the year um most of my elders were born. I mean, I'm still 60 years old, so I was not born then. So that was before me. Of course, Barcelona won against the Deportivo Alaves 2-1. Atletico Madrid continued where they stopped over the weekend, winning 3-1. Sevilla played a 1-1 draw against the Real Betis. Napoli lost at home against Empoli, with reports saying Rudi Garcia has been sacked. They want to get Antonio Conte. We hope that happens, and if it does not, fine. Fiorentina played a 2-1 victory against Bologna, while Udinese played a 1-1 draw against Atlanta, and Roma were lucky to secure a new draw against Lazio. And Inter Milan can't stop winning right now. They won 2-0 against Frosinone. And Bayern Leverkusen won 4-0 against Union Berlin. I don't know. Maybe Union Berlin should have not gone to the Champions League. Ever since they got to the Champions League, they've been losing back to back. I think this is their sixth loss, no, seventh loss in a row. And RB Leipzig played a 3-1 victory against Freiburg. Are two the best game of the year. Okay, the year. Or so far this season. Let me say the year. I can't think of the whole year. But so far this season is the game between Chelsea and Manchester United. Manchester City. I did not know City can concede 4 goals in a match. I did not know that they can concede 4 goals in a match. I can't remember. I'm not with the statistics. Actually, you can help me if you can. I can't remember the first time a Pep Guardiola side conceded 4 goals in a game. And you will have expected that to be probably against a Liverpool or a Real Madrid. Sorry, Liverpool in the league. I can't even think of anybody that can beat them 4-0 anyway. That can score 4 goals against them in the league. Probably just Liverpool that can score 4 goals against them. But Chelsea did it. And it was a Premier League classic. Catchy, true and true, it was a Premier League classic. Chelsea would have done better if he had a better striker. But even the striker elevated his game today. It was not Michael Jackson. It was Jackson, the striker, that presented himself today. Honestly, I love the way Chelsea handled their business. They were, shall I say, they were lucky. No, they were not lucky. It was their hard work that secured them the draw.
Mm,
City were lucky not to have gotten Ederson sent off. If we've
mhm.
had some bad refereeing, Ederson could have been sent off. People keep talking about that penalty. Was it a penalty? Definitely was a penalty. And City were lucky to go ahead with that first penalty. I don't think that was a penalty, as a matter of fact. For the first penalty, I think it was too harsh.
Arsenal fans have come again.
Yeah, I think it was too. I know. I think it was too harsh. If I'm supposed to be against anybody, I'll be against Chelsea. Trust me.
Mm.
But I think it was too harsh. We are not playing basketball, for crying out loud. If I'm playing football, let's know we're playing football. Kachi, I'm going to start with you on
Yeah.
this one. Your overall assertion of the game, was that a penalty? For Erling Haaland, was that a penalty? And how lucky was City to have even gotten away with the Ederson hands and on the no, with Kyle Walker, I guess. Kyle Walker, yeah, he
Yeah.
hit the ball against Kyle Walker's hand. Yeah,
An exciting game, first of all. Let's put that out there for any neutral. You obviously want, especially for a sport that is a very low scoring sport,
yeah,
having a single game give you 8 goals, obviously is something you want to hang in your calendar. But if you are a supporter of any of the two clubs, you will be concerned with the supposed lack of defense
mhm,
um, exhibited, especially by Chelsea. I thought for the second and no, for the second goal, yes, it was a free header by Manuel Akonji, and
yeah,
even the third goal, you have to ask yourself, what was the defense doing? Why were they going into tackles so high up when they were still bringing the ball towards the final third of the game? And I'm talking particularly about the third goal. I can't remember who went in for a tackle and missed it. Um, I know the goalkeeper slipped for Manuel Akonji's, but how did Akonji get so free?
so yeah,
Um,
to
so
get that
before
header.
you even go into the debatable decisions, was that a penalty or not? We have to ask ourselves. I know. Okay, I guess for me, let me take a step back and not be overly critical. Understanding that Chelsea is operating under a new coach, and that just recently we're it's beginning to look as if they are finally buying into what Pochettino is trying to sell. And the results are beginning to show, are reflecting that. Maybe we'll give them some pass that in adopting a new philosophy, you will get some lapses. It's almost like the Barcelona of those days playing from the back. You knew that once in a while, Ter Stegen would make a boneheaded decision, or even before Ter Stegen, Victor Valdez would make a boneheaded decision, but you knew you had enough to pepper over those cracks. So maybe
Yeah,
that's why. For City, it is hard to put a meaning or a reason to it. I think this is just one of those games that happen once every big blue moon. Um, you don't expect it to continue. So hard for me to blame them, but credit to them for fighting back. Now, to your question on whether the penalty against Cucurella was a penalty,
yeah,
it's debatable. The only reason why we are sitting here to argue whether it was a penalty is simply because of the inconsistency in officiating. If the officiating of previous games, not necessarily involving these two teams, have been consistent,
yeah,
then we would not come here to say, was this a penalty? And I'm looking at you, Arsenal versus Newcastle, and I'm pretty sure you put that up in our social media handle, and we told you to give it a rest already, Adebowale. But the reason why we are debating this is because of the inconsistency in officiating.
yeah,
Personally, for me, I don't think it's a penalty. Football is a contact sport, and the referee for marquee games such as this, sometimes you should allow um, some contact. There should be some contact, except it is very boneheaded, very physical, or life threatening. Then
mhm,
you can apply the whistle.
Actually,
So I think
it shouldn't get to life threatening. If you fall
that's
into
why
it,
I put it in parentheses. That's why I put that life threatening in parentheses for lack of a better word. But I think it's debatable, and like to repeat myself, the only reason we are here discussing the merit of that of the inconsistency in officiating. Now, I rather want to see this as a moral victory
Chelsea.
for Chelsea, because it looks like Pochettino has single-handedly identified Cole Palmer as the guy he wants to build
Build this team.
around.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who left City because he was in search of more playing time. He has found that in Chelsea now. He's providing the result. So cool and calm in front of. I mean, it's a 92nd minute penalty. That's a pressure cooker, and he handled himself very well. Same thing he did against Spurs. I think it's a moral victory. Chelsea can build from there. City have to go back to say, okay, are we having a hangover? Because this is, I believe, in about 5 games now, they drop points against United. No, not United. Come on, United. You
Yes,
can't do that.
Arsenal.
Against Arsenal and also against Chelsea. In the past, we would have said two
Wolves.
direct rivals for the championship. However, I don't think this will come back to haunt them. I think they are by and large the better team right now in the league. This is a blip, a glitch in the matrix. We should see City return to winning ways.
Okay. Olali, how realistically is City coping without KDB? I
They
don't
have a team and they have a
don't know.
coach. They have
They have a
they
team,
have options.
but you can
They have a
see,
coach.
yeah, you can see that you can see that missing him. It's not a straightforward thing. Like you can see the significance of not having KDB. It's really have dwindled their dominance over other teams, their chance creation. Because if they are at you over and over again, you will not find it easy to even try to counter them. I think they're missing him. And what do you think of the game overall?
Okay, so this is my take. I think I agree with a lot of things Kachi said.
Yeah,
It's a game in a game of football. You probably hardly have as say game, but probably in a season. In a season, you might not even see a game that has 8 goals, and where it's not even one-sided, where it's a balanced in 5-3, 4-4.
yeah,
But again, defensively, I think, and when you see something like this from big teams, there are two things. Both teams probably threw the caution to the wings. It was a high pressing attacking game, and at the
yeah.
same time, they have both of them have players in very good attacking game, and at the same time, both of them have very poor defensive game. And I think that was what happened today, defensively, and which probably could be attributed to the way both teams attack. At the same time, we could say that, but even the City goals, the goals City led allowed were terrible goals. Couple of them, I think the Raheem Sterling goal was poor. Gusto nearly scored one to that looks. Some of them looks
Yeah,
like so. I think both teams didn't cover themselves very well
even
defensively.
The Jackson goal was the most unfortunate out of it, where Ederson punched the ball directly back to a Chelsea player. I'm like, what the hell is happening?
So they defensively. I think both of them. But again, looking at the game, you have to give credit to Chelsea.
Of
Even
course.
we acknowledge the fact that what do you call it? I think the draw probably was a fair result for both sides.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think any of those teams deserve to lose on the night. Bar whatever we think about the decision. I think I like the way Chelsea approach the game. I like they have a style. They are very direct. Not like they want to hold on to the ball like that too much. They know when to press City, more organized, and they actually play like the home team, which makes a lot of very because I think if you are going to lose a game at home, you
Hmm.
shouldn't lose like you shouldn't look like a coward. You should be very brave enough when you play at home and you lose game. So
Yeah.
I think I love the way I think Chelsea. Although from what I'm saying, I don't think this will immediately transpire to them winning against the smaller teams. I think what we've seen is they have a team that is very good going toe to toe with other big
With the
teams. I
big
think
boy.
they are the stage Liverpool were when Jurgen Klopp came in initially. If you
Yeah.
notice the initial first 2 years of Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool normally have a very good game against the
Good
big
game
teams.
against the big teams.
Where they
Yeah.
have the problem was consistently getting results against the smaller teams, which I think they'll figure out over time. Which means by the time when teams have played low block, you have to find a way of beating them. I think that's the next stage. And with Nkunku coming in too, I think it gives them a bit of variety. They can
Yeah.
mix things up, a bit of creativity. They're coming. From now looking at the decision, I saw one tweet on somebody when someone was looking at VR as why we have all this issue. He said something that 50% or more than 50% of footballing decisions are as in Kachi used the word debatable. As he said, 50% of those decisions comes with you as in it's not a white and black thing at times. There are lots of things you put into consideration. There are times you see a tackle in the first minute, that same tackle in the 70 minutes will have required probably will have attracted a yellow card. Or because it was in the first minute, you feel like no.
Yeah,
it's the same tackle.
Let's keep the momentum of the game.
Exactly. Discretion comes in. There are lots of decisions in football that has to do with discretion. And I think probably that is what we are eventually finding out that VAR cannot solve. Because the discretion will still come in. Even when some certain things are even glaring. Looking at that penalty call, the push for me is enough to warrant the penalty. The ball, for the fact that the ball was moving towards the direction of the player, Alan, probably warrants the penalty. But the only reason why I will not blow is because the ball probably didn't get to him. That is why probably I will not give that penalty. If probably Thiago Silva missed that, and the ball was with that push and with that ball approaching Alan with that push, I'll probably blow a penalty. But for the fact that I saw Thiago Silva nodding the ball, which means even with and that is where we said discretion, even with the push, there was no way that ball eventually gets to me. That's why I will never.
And that's realistically, that's the same issue.
This problem I have with a lot of people watching. I think this was something. I think the penalty against United, even though United was terrible, even though if they have not awarded
that was not a penalty.
I'm sure City would have still have won. But I think that United decision was far terrible than this. Because that ball does not even have any chance getting
anything to do to Rodri.
To Rodri at all. But for
no
this,
chance.
I didn't mean Thiago Silva has missed the ball. And because that ball, if Thiago Silva has actually missed it, it's going in front of Alan. I think that push is enough to award the penalty. But for the fact that Thiago Silva dealt with that ball, I will not blow a penalty. And that is probably what is the problem with the discretion. You have to get it right. I think on that night, on the basis of it, it shouldn't be a penalty. Because the ball did not get to Haaland.
Okay. All right.
Statistics that you asked for. Only 4 different teams have scored 4 goals, 4 or more Premier League goals in a single game against a Pep Guardiola Man City. Leicester in 2016 and 2020. Leicester did it twice. Everton in 2017 and Liverpool in 2018. Then Chelsea in 2023. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So 4 sides. Okay. Not bad. So Chelsea has joined the good club.
The other boys.
Yes. They have joined the league of the Leicesters.
The Leicesters. The Leicesters and the Liverpools. All right. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. I think I wish we had a couple of seconds. I wanted to ask you guys just one question. Both of you, and I believe you should be able to do that in 1 minute each. What is happening to the Milwaukee Bucks? Kachi, I'll let you start.
I've said this. I said this in our group chat. This is just it's just teething problems. This is a team learning to give Dame the ball and let him coordinate the attack. Dame is still finding time to learn what each person likes. I don't think an off-season is enough for you to move from Portland, where you've played 9 years or thereabout, and immediately start to gel. This is reminiscent of in 2011 where the Heat lost. I think they struggled. They were 500 in their first 20 games before they picked it all up. I expect them to pick it up, but this is early days. Too soon to judge.
Okay, Olale, 1 minute.
Yeah, I
Olale,
think I'll go with Kachi. Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me? So I'll go
Yes,
with
I can
Kachi.
hear
I
you.
think
Go
I
ahead.
agree with what Kachi said, but I know there should be a period of transition in terms of trying to get to know each players and to know their roles and this. But I think that should probably affect their offensive game. But defensively too, they look a little bit short of it. I think that's where my
Shut up.
concern will come from. But again, we probably have to give them to the middle of the season. We've
Of the
seen some
season.
teams who probably have shown better fit in they probably of course, but in basketball you know how it is. Even with five men on the court, sometimes
Uh-huh.
when you had a new superstar, it's a bit hard for
Bit
everybody trying to figure out
to keep
what
it
their
up.
new role will be. So let's just give
Okay.
them to like January and see how it is.
All right, perfect. Kachi, go ahead.
Yeah, I know Devo will not like this, but I wanted to send a big shout out to the Montreal Alouettes, the CFL team who defeated the Toronto Argonauts to reach their first Grey Cup final since 2010. The Argonauts were 16-2. Everybody thought they were the clear-cut favorites to win the Grey Cup. The Grey Cup is the equivalent of the Super Bowl in Canada. But Montreal Alouettes, big shout out to the team. I will be coming to Hamilton. I will not see Debo, but I will be there hopefully to cheer the Alouettes as they secure the Grey Cup for the first time in 13 years.
All right, perfect. I hope you guys don't win anyways. And I'm gonna be against. I'm gonna be on the opposite side, and hopefully we'll be there together. Unless you don't come. If you come, I'll look for you. That's the wrap of the show. My name is Stanley Adeboale. To see you again next week. Have a wonderful sporting week. Bye, guys.